Hello, everyone. Welcome to People on Dating. I'm your host, Will Morales. And on today's show, I have Denise. And today's topic is a good one. Do women get bored in relationships? So, Denise, first of all, how are you? How's it going? And thank you so much for being on.
Oh, well, thank you for having me on. I think it's going to be a lot of fun chatting with you today, and I'm doing great. It's hot here in Florida today, and so far, so good.
Well, here in New York, I know we're in the same time zone. So it's a little after 4 at the time of this recording, and it's about maybe upper 70s, so it's real comfortable. After a while, we had so much. I mean, my God, I think for a week and a half, we had temperatures up in the 90s. Even at night, it was like in the low 80s, and it was so uncomfortable to sleep. I needed a fan and an air conditioner uh, to try to stay comfortable. So, but anyway, again, thank
Be
you so
glad,
much. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, be glad you don't live in Florida. This is going to be every day for us until probably mid-October.
Jeez. Well, listen, you know what? In mid-October, it starts getting down to the 60s and 50s. So I prefer Florida weather. Believe me, you don't know. I could do without the upper 90s, but other than that, I like your temperature better. So anyway, so for those of you who don't know, this is called People on Dating. It's a topical conversation about the ups and downs of courtship, dating, my God, everybody, all of us have a story. So anyway, so let's get to today's topic. And Denise, one of the things I've heard about certain women is that they get bored in relationships. And to be honest with you, I'm not gonna lie, I was shocked about it. I that never crossed my mind. Even some of my friends, when we talk about it, from the age of like 18, 19, that we started dating to like now, where I'm a lot older, that this topic ever even crossed our mind. Um, so for you as a woman, is this something that really happens in relationships?
I think it happens. It can happen early in the dating process, or ongoing in a relationship. Um, you think about it, and early in a relationship, of course, you're dating, you're going out, you're doing things, your partner is new, you don't know anything about them, so you're learning about each other. And I guess it can go one of two ways. You get really comfortable with each other, and that's great, or you get really comfortable with each other, and that guy is just kind of there on your couch, you know?
Mm.
And yes, that can be awful boring. And I kind of think, like when you've had the feedback from women, what have they said to you? I mean, have I'm going to turn this back on you for a minute. Have you been
Okay.
told that you women were bored?
No, you know
Like,
what?
I mean, like with women you date, or
I'm gonna be honest with you. They never told me that, and it's not that I would never say, "Oh no, not me. I'm not boring." No, I have something new every day. No, I think if a woman stops liking me, I think it could be other reasons besides that. I'm hoping that it's other reasons besides that I bored her. But I'm gonna be honest with you, Denise. I never been in a conversation like that. I'm gonna be honest with you. If a woman doesn't like me anymore, I kind of move on. Yes, I do think about it. I think about maybe, all right, maybe I did something wrong, or maybe I, wasn't as attentive, or maybe I didn't listen as much, or I didn't, uh, have a conversation with her to get to air things out. And I'll definitely take blame for some of that. Even some of my male friends have said that when it comes to a relationship breaking up, it's usually because of a lack of communication is one of the biggest reasons. So, uh, I mean, it's not the answer that you wanted to hear, but that's,
well,
yeah.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, because as somebody who dates quite a bit, and I honestly think I'm probably an ideal candidate for the get bored in relationships topic because of that. I've, for example, I've had dates with four different men this week, so and it's only what, Wednesday, and
Oh no, hey,
and
listen, go for yours, man. I mean, shoot, you're a woman, you're a grown woman, so why not, right?
yes, but one thing that occurs to me a lot when and it happens a lot on dates, and seems to be a pattern with some men, that you realize by the end of the date, and you sometimes it'll be after, say, we've been dating for 2 months, we've been going out, and this guy really still doesn't know a thing about me because he never asked, so I never volunteered. And so
Mm,
eventually, especially when the guy starts telling the same stories over and over,
yeah.
you kind of realize that, frankly, you're bored. You're ready for somebody new with new stories, at least. If they're not going to ask you about yourself, at least, tell a different story.
Wow, that's that's a good one. That is something of a surprise because you know what? I think where if a woman doesn't volunteer anything, but then you hit it right on the head. If you don't ask, you're not going to know. So if you come up with the same boring stories and now you're doing it a different version of the same boring story, I can understand why a woman would definitely get a bored. So for you, what would be some of the ways that a man could get unboring?
Well, I think it would be more about, well, of course, being creative in the kind of dates. For example, and I'll give an example here. I have certain fellows that I go out with, because I have a few guys that I go out with. I kind of have standing dates with about every week or every other week, and they're generally along the same line. I have one fellow that I meet for dinner consistently 1 day a week, and the only
Right.
thing that changes is the place we eat. We don't go anywhere else. We don't do anything. I have another fellow that I also, the same kind of thing. We do the same kind of dates basically every time, and he's not really interested in changing up that pattern. Hence, I date other people so I get a change up a pattern. But um but that's one thing. And also ask a woman about the things that she's interested in, because everybody's got something that makes them interesting. And that's,
I,
like, I can pull that out of men more, and men will tell you all about their job or their passion or their hobby. But they often don't turn that around and say, well, hey, what about you? Or their eyes kind of glaze over. I have a lot of hobbies, and I've noticed some guys, the minute you start talking about your hobby, their eyes start glazing over, which, maybe that's a flaw of mine. Maybe I'm not making my hobby sound interesting enough. But it does, then you get kind of bored, especially if the guy's got really boring hobbies.
yeah, no, no, I definitely get that. I love that you said ask a woman what she wants or ask her, or get to know her better because I think if a man is glazing over at anyone's hobbies, then it's pretty much, I look at it, it's all about him. It's not about us as a couple. I also found out too, Denise, when I talk to certain women and I'll say, hey, we got to set a plan to go out somewhere. And then most of the time the woman will say, oh no, you can make the plans. Oh, I like a man that makes the plans. But some men, I'm guilty of this when I was much younger. I'll pick things I want to do. It's not necessarily something that she might enjoy or be happy. So how do you navigate through that if a man just pretty much does what his intention, his interests, and not the woman's interest? I know, like you said, you should ask her, but if a woman does say, oh no, you can make the plans, I want to know what she likes to do. Do you like to go to the movies? Okay, I'll make it a priority to go to a movie, maybe once a month or once every other month, whatever it is. I don't like the fact that the man has to make all the plans because some men, again, I was like that. I was selfish enough to pick everything that I like to do.
Well,
So I'm being honest
and
here.
well, and you're right about that. I think that the guy has to do a little discovery before you get to the proposing the date. And if a guy's
Right.
really creative, then he may be able to come up with something. Um, then again, I mean, on the woman's side, really, she has to be not afraid to bring up something. And candidly, I'll say that sometimes I might not necessarily bring up something that I might want to do, knowing that it's costly, just
Mm,
to throw that element in there. And so, that's probably why women sometimes prefer that the guy take the lead, because, like it or not, oftentimes, well, here in the South anyway, um, the man ends up paying.
right.
And so I want to be considerate of, a man's finances as well, so that's, I think that happens a lot. That's why women, and then ultimately they probably get bored with the date, but
Yeah, that's
that
a
can
good
kind
point.
of go, yeah, that, but for example, if one more guy, I don't even respond anymore, and when I see a guy's profile and it says he wants to go for long walks.
I think that that's more of a woman's uh, uh, a woman's what's the word I'm looking for? A woman's point of view, where yeah, I like to take long walks. I think a man will say that just to say, okay, she likes to take long walks. I know a lot of my female friends like to take walks. I'm going to say the same thing, even though they don't mean it. I know a couple of buddies of mine that don't even like walking. They prefer to take a cab or a bus or a train everywhere. So I think that story where I agree with you. If somebody says I like to take long walks, especially a man, we're gonna have to look at that and study it a little bit more, buddy.
Yes, when I look at a man's profile and it says long walks and there's nothing interesting going on in that profile, I'm just not even going to bother. So,
No, that's good.
um,
That's a good one.
because when you're in the situation like I do the online dating thing, and when you're looking at profiles as well, you're kind of you can look at profile and sometimes you can tell if a guy's going to be boring. Not always,
Oh
but
wow. Okay.
sometimes.
It's by the profile.
Yeah, yeah, like when and especially if you look at a guy's profile and all he has is headshots of himself.
Mm, good
So
point.
so the
Good
guy that
point.
yeah, the guy that's got the pictures of him doing fun, exciting things, that's that's the guy that's probably not going to be boring, at least not nearly as long.
Okay. I like that. Not leading as long. Oh my God, that's you too much, Denise. We're talking with Denise, and today's topic is, do women get bored in relationships? It's funny because like on my website, peopleondating.com, I put up pictures of me. I think I did. I better double check, but I put pictures of me of with some of my female friends. I think I put a picture of me roller skating. I think at certain events, I wanted to make sure that I have a variety of pictures, that I'm in different places and not taking a picture of me. Here in New York, we have Central Park, and I'm not always there. I don't live there. I want to take pictures of me in different locations and in different spots of the city. Again, it's a good point that you made. If you're taking just headshots, wow. Do you go anywhere, buddy, or are you just a homebody? And how do you deal with that, though, Denise? If you met someone that prefers to be a homebody, they want to cut her up with you, but they're doing they want to do movies, or they want to do, anything else on the television. How do you deal with that? Have you encountered any type of gentleman that does that or prefers that?
Well, generally I weed that type out right away.
Okay.
So I almost never I mean, it's kind of on principle. When I date guys, I it, you know I date a lot, and I don't go to anybody's house, and I don't invite people to my house very often either.
Right.
So I want our dates to be out and going and doing and that kind of thing. Um, I but I do think some women do enjoy that, sort of sitting around the house and watching television. I'm just not, like, for me, television something I do solo, and then if I'm gonna hang out with someone, I want to hang out and do something, or at
Right.
least or at least go somewhere and have conversation, not zone out. And with that said, a movie once in a while, with a big old bucket of popcorn is really a lot of fun.
Right, right, right. So if you could name like 3 or 4 things that for you as a woman that you like to do, or maybe some activities that you've done in the past that you don't mind doing again, what would that be? Like again, when you said at least the man is not gonna that man's not gonna be that boring that long. Maybe it might be short boring or long boring, but at least you know that there's gonna be different dates or different locations you guys are gonna go to. So can you name like 3 or 4 things that let's say you like to do that maybe a man might not know about?
Um, well, I'm pretty transparent about the things I like to do, so
Okay.
I don't
See,
I
that's
don't do
fair,
things
and I
like
think
to.
that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. However, my things that I like to do are kind of big. Like I like the water. I like anything boating, uh, kayaking, anything involving the water. I also am an avid equestrian, so I like anything that
Ah,
involves horses. Um, those are my big ones. Um, but for example, I had a date this past weekend and I met a guy over in St. Augustine, Florida. Don't know if you've been there before, but it's beautiful and historic.
okay. No, never
And
been there. Thank you for letting me know.
and yeah, and this guy's passion is he has a slingshot, which is a kind of a weird motorcycle vehicle. It's kind of a cross between, it's like a three-wheel vehicle that's like a cross between a motorcycle and a car. Look them up online. They look futuristic and funky. And I already knew ahead of time that's what he was going to pick me up in.
Oh,
And I
okay.
normally don't even get in the car with guys that I haven't, that's on a first date. And this was the first date. This guy, I was intrigued by his vehicle, and so he picked me up. Yeah, I know, shallow, right?
No,
So
no, no. You know
so
what? No, I understand. I mean, listen, do you want to get in a green lime Pinto or you want to get in a nice car? I get you. Believe me, no
well,
judgment here.
you know what? Either way, he wasn't going to kidnap me and take me anywhere because there wasn't no hiding that vehicle. So, I mean, it was obnoxious to the point that everywhere we went, everyone was pointing and staring. So, which I thought was kind of cool. It was kind of fun. And so he took me and he gave me a tour of St. Augustine and we went to the beach and yes, we went for a walk on the beach, but it was nice. And then he took me to a winery and we did a whole
Ah,
full-fledged wine tasting experience. It was a great day. Um,
okay.
so my great dates can be big. I also had, yeah, I also had a very interesting, call it a date or what you will, sailboat trip with a guy a few months ago, and it's too bad the guy was really boring because the date was great.
Oh,
I mean, the
wow.
date would have been great if the guy hadn't been boring, but
So what made him
so
boring? His conversation?
well, we were together for 3 days, and I don't think he stopped talking for 3 days.
Oh, geez. Gotcha.
Uh,
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, no, enough said, Denise. Enough said. We're talking with Denise.
yeah.
Yeah, we're talking with Denise. The show is People on Dating. Today's topic is do women get bored in a relationship? And I want to say our resident expert, Denise, has told us men, hey, we got to step up our game. So thank you for that, Denise. So uh, and it always comes down to the conversation, right? To listening and to getting maybe opinions on something. I think too, for most men, I think that either they get nervous or maybe they don't want to know about a woman's past or something like that, or maybe they're afraid to ask a question, like, "Oh, what is it that you like to do?" Because, like you said, in certain circumstances, some women, if not most, want the man to take the lead. But I think it's a way to get to knowing someone by just asking questions. I mean, shoot, when I've gone on some dates, a woman asked me like 10, 15 questions in a row. And to be honest, it doesn't even bother me. You want to get to know me? Cool. I'll tell you what I can. And, some things I might not speak. I might say, when I get to know you a little better, I'll let you know about that. But in certain circumstances, I just think I think men might be a little too shy to ask that question. Hey, what is it that you like? Tell me a little bit more about yourself. Because I think we all have heard it that if you tell somebody, hey, what do you do? They'll go off for like an hour, hour and a half. And look, for you was 3 days. So what do you think about that?
Yes, exactly. And it's true. Now, I do have other friends who are single, and their choice of dating is more, just a nice dinner and drinks or that kind of thing. So maybe it all depends. I'm just more of an active person. But I think, back to the original topic, we were talking about getting bored.
Yeah.
You tend to get bored if you're not, if you don't always have kind of something going on, if that's what you like, if you like to always be going or doing or having, maybe boring is also not having the next activity or the next thing to look forward to in a relationship. Like
Right, right.
what are we going to do next? What fun thing do we have planned, even if it's small, if something small that we're looking forward to. um Maybe the guys need to hold back a little bit, so there's always a little more surprise information to come out. Not bad surprise, but
Yeah. Yeah, no, no, I get that.
like,
No, go ahead, Denise. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead. You saying a
right.
nice
I mean,
surprise if something comes out of his mouth and it's not like, hey, I was in jail for 25 years because I did this. You want something, that's going to surprise you in a good way.
exactly, because I've heard some pretty interesting things from time to time, and they were things that after the fact you're like, wow, that would have been a deal breaker. Now I kind of know this guy and he's kind of cool, but it would have been a deal breaker. So there are things that they could hold back a little.
Right.
um
So
I mean, like to you, what do you think makes a boring woman?
I
I'd
think
probably benefit from that.
no, I think is just, to me, letting the guy decide everything. The conversation. Now, let me maybe rephrase it a little bit. I think okay, if a woman relies me on me to do everything, okay, I could come up with dates, I could come up with different things, but I think the conversation, if she's not a woman that has, let's say, like a sense of humor, or we could just off the cuff, we could be watching a movie and we could come up with our own lines to the movie, just as a joke or whatever,
Okay,
or
I love that. Yeah, I
yeah.
love that. That's great.
Yeah, because I've done that, even with like my buddies, and we'll see a scene and then we'll just come up with our own lines, and just make each other laugh. And I've done that with some of my female friends that we're hanging out, and I'll just say something off the cuff or whatever. I think things like that could keep a relationship going, because you're just coming off the cuff, you're watching a movie or whatever. And like I said, I love doing that too, where I watch a scene and I just come up with an alternative line, that's not going to be, clean. It's going to be a little nasty, but not in a sense that's going to, offend a woman. So things like that, I think more, it comes down more to the conversation, the sense of humor, um, just I think it's just the chemistry. It always comes down to chemistry. If you have it, then I think everything else will play itself out. And I think one of them is just having. I like a woman with a sense of humor, that she can laugh at anything and everything, like I do. I mean, I might have a drink, or if I, smoke a little something, something. I get silly, and I like to make jokes and have a good time. So I think
I'm
when
sure.
it comes down,
Yeah.
it comes out, it's just the chemistry and just having a good conversation, just having fun. Because I think everything else could take care of itself in terms of dates and all that. Because I think if a woman feels comfortable with her man and vice versa, they both could come up with something to do. And if they don't like it, then you come up with plan B, C, and D. I mean, I think it could. I'm not saying it's simple, but the key is just having that chemistry and a sense of humor. It's to me, on my side, it's very huge.
Oh, you definitely. I agree with you. And sometimes that can alleviate a lot of other things, having that sense of humor. I'll say too, and this is kind of, I'm in that kind of in between age where if I date younger men, some of them have kids at home. If I date
Mm,
older men, they've either got the been there, done that syndrome, or, they just don't have the energy to go out. And so
Oh,
that's what I've run into as I've dated men that were in the range of, say, years older than me or plus. I found that some of them, quite frankly, don't are kind of boring because they don't have the enthusiasm to go and do and that kind of thing. They just kind of want to do dinner and chill on the couch, and so if you're an older fella, and I'm not saying you are, but if you are, you kind of have to work extra hard at that at a feeling, making the woman feel like you both are young, especially if
oh,
you want to date younger women.
absolutely. No, absolutely. No, no, I am with you on that 100%. I just think when, and another thing I see too, um, I don't know if the couple gets bored because, and let's add the man to that too with the woman, and they're together. All of a sudden, like you see them now, they end up um not being in the same shape that they used to be in. I see that as another a way of getting bored, where now the guy, and I'm talking for, let me talk about the guy. For instance, I see some of my male friends that all of a sudden now they gain 20 pounds. I'm like, wow, dude, you wasn't even like that 5 years ago. What, and in my mind, I'm saying, what happened? And I think, a man gets complacent. He has the woman that he loves. He has the woman of his dreams. This is it. This is my partner. This is my soulmate, whatever it is. And then they let themselves go.
You're
I mean,
so right. You're
at
so right about that.
and at this age, as you're past mid 50s to 60s, you got to take care of yourself even more so when you were 20, 30, and 40. You got to eat a little bit better. You got to definitely, to me, exercise double that what you did back in the day. So I see that happening, where I see a lot of my male friends, they gain weight. It's like they get complacent and all that. And then to me, they become boring. And I can see why a woman might not
Yes.
say, oh shoot, this guy, he, first of all, he's letting himself go. He just wants to stay home. And I can understand that from your point of view, Denise, where a guy just wants to stay home. I could see if it's once a week or once every other week. And I agree with you. And I really thank you for what you said earlier, that you take a man's financial status into consideration. But I think at the end of the day, you guys got to, you both got to be on the same page. And it's just what you said. If a man's older, they've been there, done that, but there's still new things to discover. There's new food, there's new restaurants, there's new activities to do. Like, I'm pretty sure in Florida, like you said, there's tons of things. You're right by the water. So my God, you got everything there by the water. It's beautiful. The temperature's good here in New York City. We got tons of restaurants. We got roller skating now. Roller skating is making a big comeback here in New York City. And I love roller skating. It's just tons of activities to keep you going and to keep you young at heart and physically.
That is so neat that you roller skate. That's just something I did when I was a teenager that I haven't even really thought about doing in years.
Oh yeah, no, here in New York City, in Central Park, they've been skating since the late 70s. I started in 2004 with these guys. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I every from April through October, we are there skating. And you make great relationships of friends. Listen, I have a couple of my buddies that are dating women that they have the same interest. They want to be in the park. They don't skate, but they like the music. They like the camaraderie. They like us just getting together and having jokes. And, we get there maybe at 3 p.m. Eastern, and we leave about 9 or 10 because we're just hanging out and just having a good time. The weekend goes by so fast because we're having such a great time. Um, so I think, again, that's an activity to do. I mean, I think we could come up with probably 100 activities to do to keep a relationship, I'll call it on the edge, in terms of, boy, what are we going to do next? We've done this, we've done kayaking, we went boat riding, we went jet skiing, we went skating. I think the activities are boundless, in my opinion. Uh, maybe I'm dreaming, but I think there are. I don't know. You're the woman, Denise. You tell me.
Well, back to your point though, if you're meeting people at an activity you love to do, um, that's probably a good way to keep things a little fresh. Say that is the activity you do all the time, but maybe you do it at different places, or it's like I don't know if there are other places to roller skate or that kind of
No, they
thing.
are. Yeah.
For us here in Florida, there are tons of places to like I kayak a lot. I have my own kayak. I have spares. It ends up
Oh, that's
often
cool.
that once fellas find out that I have spare kayaks, I end up lugging kayaks down for dates. I'm about ready to quit telling guys that I have a spare kayak, because it's a lot more work lugging them down for the guy, But you have those activities in common if it's a passion that you both have. Um,
Yeah.
it seems in my area of Florida, there's so many retirees that mostly when I go out and do the activities I love, I meet women, not men. But
Right.
that's why I'm doing the dating sites, because the guys don't seem to be out solo on the rivers. So,
Oh, okay.
um, but and another idea might be some of the sites that are a little more targeted toward people's passions. Like, for example, there's equestrian singles, and there's I think I joined one the other day called sailing singles. I'm interested in seeing how that turns out. Um,
So it was
you
equestrian
know,
singles, and what was the other one?
sailing singles, for people,
Sailing
because
single. Okay.
I'm really interested. I've only sailed once, and that was on this trip with this guy, and I like the sailing enough that I want to sail again. I just don't ever want to sail with that guy again. So,
That's fair.
but it gave me a great passion for that, because I love the water anyway, and I thought, well, this would be really awesome, if I could meet other people that really like sailing, and maybe they have boats and I don't have to go buy a boat. So,
Right, right, right. Yeah.
um,
Okay.
but as far as the boring thing too, back to that again. You think about long-term relationships, and that to me is when sometimes it gets even more that way. And I know in my last real relationship, um, after a while, it got to that point you were talking about. We were both kind of watching TV in different rooms, because we were not interested in the same shows, and he was
Mm,
doing his thing and I was doing mine, and we probably were bored with each other.
wow.
And and ultimately we didn't fix that. We split up, although that was probably more me than him. But
Well, you,
it's
but you know what,
something that
Denise, you
probably,
being, yeah, I'm sorry, but you were being honest with yourself, if I heard your tone of your voice correctly, it felt like, it was I'm not saying you say it was your fault, but Denise, if that's how you felt, then that's how you felt. You
yeah,
weren't happy with the relationship. Hey, guys do it all the time. If they're not happy in a relationship, they'll find a way to get out. And I think what you said is you hit it right on the head. There's so many ways to get to know someone and keep the relationship exciting. Besides activities, there's conversations. I mean, there's, again, we always go back to this, or we harp on this, but I think it's so true. There are ways to keep a relationship going besides just staying at home and watching TV. And like you said, wow, where now you're watching different programs in different parts of the apartment or the house. That does say something.
yes, yes. And maybe having shared goals too, because that gives you
Mm.
something to throw yourselves into together. And when you stop having shared goals together, it seems to me like the relationship more or less dies.
You know what? When I go to certain meetings, like networking events, for me, it's real estate. Unfortunately, I say, Denise, about 80 to 95% of the people there are guys anyway. And you might see a few women there, but for me, they're like 30 years younger than me. So, I'm not even interested in looking that way. But I haven't had maybe once or twice. I could probably say once that I dated someone that had the same interest in me in terms of real estate or whatever. For most part, it's not, and I'm okay with that. It doesn't have to be that, but it's just just having, again, the chemistry is so huge and so important. And, having that sense of humor that you could just laugh at a little bit of everything, and not worry about what the other person's opinion is going to be. Oh, they're going to like this joke, or they're going to get offended, then all of a sudden now, if the person gets offended or they didn't like the joke that you said, okay, now what? Where are we going with this now? Do I got to walk on pins and needles? Do you got to walk on eggshells because this person's going to get mad at me for, I spilled something and I'm just joking? So I don't
Well,
know.
Will, I'm already right this minute. You lost me because I'm already fixated on the next place to meet men, which apparently is at real estate meetings.
Listen, you know what? I'm pretty sure if you go to meetup.com and real estate meetings, you're going to probably find them there. That's for sure. Because here in New York City, when I go, unless it's a party like atmosphere, then you see a lot of women and you see a lot of like real estate agents and all that. But for most part, it's about 80 to 90, 95% of men go to these events. So yeah, there you go. We chalk one up for Denise. Meet up at a real estate event.
Yes, yes. So if you have a lot of women listeners, ladies, that's where the boys are.
Yeah, you go to meetups and there are tons of men of real estate events, and there are all ages. You got them from the early 20s to your 70 plus. The range is there, believe me.
Well, that's a useful tip. And I personally, although I'm not a realtor, I do find real estate and investing in real estate really interesting. So might be worthwhile.
Hey, listen, you got nothing to lose. Well, first of all, Denise,
Nothing to lose.
yeah, exactly. Well, first of all, Denise, I want to thank you so much for being on People on Dating. This was a great topic that we talked about. I think I could talk to you for another hour or so. And before I let you go, if you give at least another one or two tips to keep a relationship on the edge, and I'll talk about on the good edge. Can you give us one or two more tips for guys? And guys, listen up.
Let's
I'm
see.
putting you on the spot, Denise.
Yes, you totally are putting me on the spot. Never underestimate the value of flowers. I don't think guys do that much anymore. It's kind of an
Wow.
old-fashioned art, but it happens really rarely to me these days, and guys do. And that is another thing too. Is it is the little things that show that you did listen to the woman. That you did hear something she said. Like, for example, one of the fellows that I date, he's a chef and he knows that I love key lime pie. So I think he's brought me every variation of key lime pie he could think of to make. Just
Wow.
so, like on a date, he'll show up with it beautifully packaged. And I know that's kind of above and beyond. And but it is a great thing to do something like that shows that you heard the woman.
So
And
little
also
things go a long way. I love that.
little things go a long way, and maybe not be afraid to propose a kind of an edgy date. I had a great first date that was zip lining.
Oh, wow.
So I was and the guy suggested that, and I thought to myself, the idea petrifies me, but when would I ever think to do this on my own? So I went and I had a blast.
There you go. I like that. So to wrap up,
Yep.
getting to know a woman, right? Asking questions, get creative on dates, ask a woman what she wants on occasion. Hey, what do you like to do? Some men should take the lead. I think this is the biggest one. Have shared goals, always have something going on. I agree. Bring flowers. That's great. I used to do that a long time ago, Denise. I got to admit, I'm one of those guys that I stopped doing it. I can't remember the last time I bought flowers to someone. So you got me there. Little things go a long way, and propose to do an edgy type of date. I love it. I think that
Yeah.
I think you
Well,
came up with
at least,
a bunch of golden nuggets here.
and at least you'll know, what the woman's open to, and it might give you ideas for the next date. She may say, that's a little beyond my comfort zone, but what about this?
Right,
So you
exactly.
got somewhere to go from.
No, it's good. I mean, again, my show notes are going to be full with notes, so I like that. Well, anyway, Denise, again, thank you so much for being on People on Dating. I really, really appreciate it.
It's been a blast, really. You're
No,
so fun
it's
to
my
talk
pleasure.
to.
Oh no, definitely. I had a great time. I could talk to you probably for another 2 hours. I'm definitely going to have you back on. We're going to talk. We have to talk about the online dating thing because I kind of gave up hope on that. I stopped. So maybe down the road I'll have you on to talk about that.
Oh, that'll be fun. I think that would we could probably share some interesting stories about online dating anyway.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, Denise, again, have a great day. Thank you so much, and we'll definitely be in contact. Well, everyone, that was Denise. Denise, thank you so much for being on People on Dating. Really appreciate it. You can find me at peopleondating.com. That's peopleondating.com. You can also find me at Twitter, People on Dating, Instagram, People on Dating, and the YouTube People on Dating show. You can find me there. Anyway, guys, again, thank you so much for listening. I'm your host, Will Morales. Until next time, thanks, everybody. Have a great day, and please stay safe. Bye.